Alright, welcome back. So yeah, we're working on the game editor for, well, a game that I'm making, and hopefully also like it can be used for future games as well. And so it's kind of a project where to learn Zig and also game development and also tool development with Zig as well. And so I'm using Imgui and Raylib and Zig, of course, to make this tool here. So yeah, so let's continue. So last time we started making a thumbnail thing, so I'll just open the editor here and show you a little bit. So we have this assets library or assets manager sort of UI thing here, which has all of the things. Oh, this shows up as a directory. We should probably fix that. Yeah, so you get all your assets and stuff here. So you have your textures, animations, scenes, time lapse, and so on. You can also have directories, but it's not that implemented that you can't really move files or anything like that yet, but you will be able to in the future. So also this is available, but it's like on GitHub, but it's like not really meant to be used. It's not really, you know, polished enough to just download and use. It's like it's kind of tied to the kind of game that I'm making, and yeah, but it's like the type of editor where you're working with only like JSON files, basically. So you have this project and all of these files are JSON files, and then if you have a game engine, you can load in those files and then do whatever you want with those files. But it's like an editor to make it easier to create animations, create tile maps, and everything you need for basically like a 2D game. And anyway, so yeah, what we were working on are adding thumbnails to these assets. So now we actually have thumbnails for the textures, which are generated from the texture itself. So it just shows the texture here. So you can sort of more easily find whatever thing you are looking for visually instead of trying to, you know, find by the text here. So next steps is to actually implement or thumbnails for the rest of these types of assets that we have. So I'm thinking going for animation and entity type next, because those are like the easiest ones right now. They will only have like well, yeah, we already have sort of their texture almost, so it should be pretty easy to do those. But they are pretty similar as well, so if you do one, it's more easy to do the other as well. So if we look at the animation, for example, here we open up this animation here, which is the button icon thing. So this one is not really an animation. Here's a list of animations that you have, but each of these only have one frame, so it's not really an animation, but it's a way to specify what sort of sprite you want to select here. So we have these 8 different animations, and I'm thinking for the thing that you want to show in the animation, probably just gonna grab the first animation, if there is one, and the first frame of that animation, and then just show it there. So that would be one way of doing it. So yeah, and then maybe in the future you would be able to like choose the thumbnail, so it's like more easy to see. If, let's say for example, if the first is not a good example of the actual animation you're showing, but yeah. But anyway, so let's do that. I think before I do that, I want to add all the textures as well that's missing, because if we're trying to open up an animation here, it's gonna actually crash the program. Actually, you know what? For animations, we probably want to update the thumbnail when we go into the animation or when we save the animation. So if we click save, it's going to update the thumbnail. I think that's what we want to do, because then we go into an animation, we click save. We already have all the data loaded, so we don't need to load the animation data. And so we can use that to create the thumbnail. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's do that. Because for textures right now, it's automatically sort of generated when we, well, actually it's not here. Oh yeah, I was trying to optimize this. I just remembered here. Let's make this here again. So wait. No. Yeah, this is the thing here. So we're requesting the texture, but if the texture goes wrong, if the request goes wrong, then we wanna, because that's maybe where you don't have a texture. So let's say for now, we open this up, you see the thumbnails here, but what happens if we just remove the thumbnails, which I have a thing here for. So let's remove the thumbnails. If we run this now, yeah, they are just not there. So how do we generate them? Well, we want to say when we catch the error here, which is where we don't, well, one of the errors is that it doesn't find the file. So let's run this part, which updates the thumbnail. And if we go to context, we can see here, yeah, this one, if something goes wrong, then it's gonna be like an error showing up as a dialogue. So we'll just run that and return. And so now we're actually, if something goes wrong with the request, we actually generate the thumbnail and then return. Yeah. So there could be something else going wrong, and then, yeah, then it tries to generate the thumbnail, but that could also go wrong. So it's gonna be a lot of things happening there, but it yeah, most of the time it should be fine. So yeah, so there you can see now we generated all of these thumbnails here. So that's what happens here. So the texture, for textures, we can generate it if it doesn't exist here. So that's fine. And then what we want to do, we can remove this now, is if we have, let's say, an animation, I just want to double check what this does, because this one actually requests the document, I think. If we go to the project, thumbnails. No, I don't think this actually requests the document, actually. Yeah, we're not requesting the document. We're checking the type of document by the file name, because we know what type of it is. It is based on the file name. So then we can say, for example, animation, and in that case, We also want to request thumbnail. Yeah, request the found. But in case where it doesn't exist, we don't actually want to do anything because we don't want to load all the documents that you can see, because that's gonna be resource intensive. So I don't think we want to do that. So we will just return. But if you open an animation and then click save, then we want to do this update thumbnail. But I'm just gonna run this and see if this still works without any problems. Yeah, so this still works. It's not really lagging that much. It's a little bit laggy when doing this. Let's see what if there is a difference when I do this. Oh, now we need to do this as well. I just want to check. Yeah, it's definitely less laggy when we don't do this. I'm gonna run it and see again here. Yeah, you can even feel it in the menus. Yeah. So this line is causing the lag, I think. So let's just do this and see what the difference is. Okay, yeah, now it's definitely less laggy. Okay. So let's go and check here, because we don't want this to be that laggy. So we definitely should get an ID here. And then, so okay, one thing that I think we want to do actually to speed this up a little bit is reduce. Here we're doing a reverse lookup. So what we're doing is, if we go from the start here, we are the sort of box that you see in the assets manager or library is this node here, and a node is either a file or a directory, but they both have a path, and the path is what we're using here to actually request a thumbnail and update it and all that. But the issue with that is we have this index which maps an ID to a path, and so if we want to get the ID from the path, we have to do a reverse lookup in the asset index. And what we could do is, well, there's a couple of ways we could fix it. We could make it so that the reverse look, we could speed up the reverse lookup, but we could by making like two indexes. So one index is from ID to path, and the other index is from path to ID. However, we can also make so that we don't request by path, we request by ID, by actually populating this node with the ID as well. So we can go over to wherever this is. It's in asset library, I think. Yeah. So for files, we can actually add an ID here, which is a UID. And that makes it a lot easier to work with this node here. And how we're doing that is we can actually grab the ID from, like, when we're reading a directory. Let's see, there's somewhere here where we're actually reading a directory. So here we're reading a directory, we are currently just iterating through the shallow sort of files and directories in a directory, in like the directory that you are currently in, and we are adding those to our list of files. And while doing that, we can also, so here we have create node from file path, so we have this here. Now what we want to do is open the file and read the ID, right? So we also have, I forgot where this exists. We have sort of a base struct that's only like the ID somewhere. I forgot what it was called, like assets ID. ID, yeah, here, asset index. All right, it's in the index. So we actually wanna, maybe we can just reverse lookup. Oh yeah. We can just reverse lookup here because we already have, should already have it there. Right. So where was the thing here? Read directory. And we probably wanna add the index here as a dependency then. So let's add it here, assets index. I think it's called, or asset index. Okay. Not sure if it's actually in the lib, but we'll see. Okay, so we grab that. Let's format this as well. I have to do it manually again since my LSP still doesn't work. I've tried to make it work a bunch of times, but it just crashes for some reason. I haven't looked into the crash. Actually, maybe I should just check if we actually had something going on here. So there's like a whole bunch of issues here. I think the last time it was something with the whatever it was called, analysis result type of node uncached. Yeah, so there's some weird issues going on with the LSP. So I guess we just have to wait until it's more stable. And also, like, I had a problem with the running it in WSL because there was something wrong with the file watching system, or not wrong with the file watching system, but it was something wrong with the LSP, the code that handled file watching. It like didn't work properly, so I had to actually monkey patch it basically with a git patch, and like clone down the repo and monkey patch it, and then it turns out that it solved that problem, but then there seems to be other issues as well. So maybe, I don't know. I'll just have to live with it for a while, I guess. But anyway, so, or I can run maybe Zig on Windows or something, but yeah, that feels bad. But anyway, let's just keep going here. So yeah, read, where were we? Read directory. So we want to add here we also want to add the asset index. Right. This long function signatures. Okay. So here now we should just grab the ID, should just be asset index, and we have get index, we have get ID. So just get ID, and we should, yeah, just a file path. I think this is like relative. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. It should be the same thing. So this is this one, and we will get the ID, and we will just do that. I think it should always exist unless it's a file that doesn't, that's like, it's like a file that doesn't really have an ID. It's like a, yeah, file that you just copied into the project or something. I guess this could technically, if we could technically have this nullable. So yeah, let's do that actually. All right, now let's go back here. Wait, one thing, redirectory. So this one needs the asset index. Okay, and then this also needs asset index. So here we could add a convenience function to current project. Yeah, let's do that. Set directory. Let's see what we actually need for that. So we need allocator and path. We don't need that here. So this would be index, subcurrent, no, not index, library, and then we need allocator, we need asset index and path. There we go. Added is an error. Well, it can be an error, so we do that. Okay, so now we can more easily call this function here, and so we can eliminate that, call that instead. Okay. Same thing here. And now this self is context, so it's different. Okay, so I think we did all those. Let's see here. This is context, so we shouldn't be any different. And then this one. Okay, so handled all that. Okay. So now we should actually, yeah, we should be populating the nodes with the ID. So we want to be able to use the ID as well. And we can do that here. So let's see, node menu. Now here it is, draw icon, yeah. So instead of doing file path here, let's see, we're going to the context and request thumbnail. Oh, we already have by ID, or no, we don't. Let's do by ID here. And there we go. So we don't need to get the ID. We do need to get the project. Here we can simply do get the ID and then return request thumbnail by ID. And I guess we need to do try. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's it, actually. And then here we say by ID instead, and we do file.id. However, this can actually be nullable now. So I think what we want to do is we want to say if file.id is equal to null, we will simply return. And then we can assume that we have it here. Let's remove this old code here. Yeah, get node icon, we don't. Well, actually, this is how we capture the entity type thumbnail, so we should keep this for now. But it's not, the function is not used. Okay. So we can request thumbnail by ID. We all should also do it here. Actually, let's do this. Let's do ID equals the file ID or else return. So now we can use ID instead here. There we go. All right. Now let's run this and see what kind of compilation errors we get. So asset library 7. Right, so asset index doesn't exist. So let's add this. Asset library, let's add asset index as well. Expected 3, okay. Right, so we need it here as well. Okay, so now we need to be careful because this is when we create a new file, and I'm not sure at which, we need to check at which stage it's added to. We need to make sure that the asset index actually has it before we call this function in that case. But we can still provide the asset index here. What? Oh. There we go. Okay. Now, do we have this anywhere else? No. Okay. So, let's check the references here. Right. So here we need to do that. I'm just gonna cheat a little bit here and just provide this straight up here. Now let's see, right here we're actually adding the index. So we need to do this before. Is there anything here we need? We need a content. And for that we need the store content. And we should have that, right? Because append new file doesn't do anything with the documents, I don't think. No, it just deals with the asset library. Okay. So we could do this before. There. So yeah, here we're adding to the asset index. We are also adding it afterwards to the file, the asset library. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Oh. Okay, so okay, we don't get for the textures anymore. Interesting. Let's see what kind of messages we have. Nothing. Okay. Interesting. Let's see what happened. So does the ID not exist? Maybe. Okay, so it might be the case that when the asset library is created or populated, it might happen before the index is also populated. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to where we handle loading. The first thing that's happening is restore session. And so we're just gonna check the order of things happening here. Yeah, so we're setting the current directory before we're loading the index, which okay, so well, yeah, no, we should definitely be able to do this, right? Yeah, even if we're in a different directory. Load index doesn't care about the current directory, so okay, now we got these things. However, I'm still feel a slight laggy thing. Yeah, it's still lagging a little bit, so that might not have been the issue, but it does optimize things a little bit. We don't do a reverse lookup there, but that just proves that okay, that's not a huge deal, but it's a small optimization. So what could be the issue as well then? Let's just go through this a little bit here. So this is happening like each frame here. We're grabbing the thumbnail and we're checking what type of file is it. This that is not the bottleneck. This is the bottleneck here. And this is not a bottleneck. So it's gonna be request thumbnail by ID in the context. So let's go through what's happening there. Request by ID here. And yeah, we're going into project, request thumbnail by ID, and it just goes straight into thumbnails, request by ID. So in here, something is taking a long time, I guess. It might just also be the number of files, because we only have like 3 textures added right now, and when you add the animations on top of that, it starts to lag. So yeah. So what's happening? We are requesting by ID. We're checking if right, so it's actually not Right, it tries to load the texture, that's right. Maybe we should just check the file system that it exists before it loads. Maybe that's faster. Or we can also store this as like a result type. I was thinking of like from the beginning, like having it some sort of result type in the thing here, the cache. So it would have the, I mean, either a result type, or we can store a separate cache as well. No, let's just store a result type. Thumbnail result. And this, I guess it's a union. Like a enum union. And so it would be success, I guess. And that would have the texture. Or we can have an error, which, yeah, I mean, just some sort of string, or maybe an error type. I'm not sure how to specify an error type in Zig. Like, can you pass? Yeah, you should be able to pass it as a value. There are, yeah, any error, I guess. Maybe like this. Okay. Now we can store it here from the results. And now the idea is that when you request, if the thing is an error, if we don't find, we try to load it. If we get an error, we actually don't want to remove. We want to say that, yeah, this is error there. But here we also want to say success as well. Okay, so it's like first we try to set it to a success. If we get an error while loading, we set it to an error instead. And next time we actually don't go in here because we don't remove it. Now we keep the cache thing, but it's an error instead. Let's remove that. So, but this could be an error now, so I guess we can, let's see, how do we deal with this? Do we return like the success type? I guess the type is kind of built in to Zig with this, so we could return the cached thing. So we could, I guess we could do, we do this. And then if this is success, we get it, we get the pointer to that, and we return that texture. I guess this is texture. Yeah. But if it's an error, then we get the error and we return that. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I just kinda lost focus there for a bit and lost my train of thought. So yeah, so now we have that. How do we actually use this now? Well, there's basically no difference. The difference is, well, from outside of here, there's no difference. The difference is inside, we don't try to load a texture each frame. That's the difference here. Yeah. And we're not doing an update, so yeah. But here, when we do an update, we also want to check, right, so here we have the entry. Now we want to handle the value. If it's success, we have the texture, and we need to unload that. If we have an error, we don't care. Yeah, we don't do anything. All right. And what we put in here is also we want to put a success there. Okay. I guess now if there's an error here, we want to put an actual error. So if we catch an error, we want to put the error there. Actually, so let's catch that. Get error. And in that case, I mean, we want to do this as well. So we need another function which is like put assume. No, just put. And so is thumbnails. We need annotator. We need ID. And we need the value here. So this is the result. Okay. So this would, I mean, we would basically want to do this. Okay. And this is going to be the result. Now, if this goes wrong, well, that's an out of memory error, so. Okay, so now we can put either a texture or error in here. It will handle both things. So let's actually do that. So because the thing is, we have two different scenarios here, I think. Well, the result's gonna be success, texture. Okay, but if we catch an error here, we want to do put error there and then return. Okay. So if anything goes wrong here, we store the error instead. Otherwise, we restore success. Okay. And we also handle like the existing value if there would be one to unload the texture here. Okay, so I think that's good now. Do we have anything else we need to do in here? I don't think so. Well, yeah, we have this one, I guess. Yeah. So this one also we need to do switch on texture. Yeah. And then if we have a success, then we get the texture out. Except this is a result. That's the texture, and we unload that. Otherwise, it's an error, and we don't do anything. There we go. I guess we could have a function to like handle deinitialize or unloading a result, but I mean, sure. Unload result. I guess that could be in this deinitialize. No, wait, here. Deinit. We don't really need anything for that. Public. And we go down to, yeah, we need this switch here. There. And we just switch on self. Okay. And now we can use that instead. So we don't need to switch. We can just call result initialize. There we go. And we can also do the same thing here. So entry value deinitialize. Okay. I guess we can call this, whoops, previous. Yeah. Okay, let's see what we get here. Okay, so we compile. It definitely feels faster now. Yeah, so now we're not trying to open files, like a whole bunch of files every frame. So yeah, and if we go in here, now we need a way to actually update the thumbnail. And so I'm thinking, as I said, if we click save, then we update the thumbnail. So let's go to the animation layout functions. And let's go to, yeah, here's the menu for that. So when we save, we also want to do an update thumbnail. Wait, what was it called? I'm pretty sure we have a function for that. Yeah, update thumbnail. So we just need, we need a path. No, definitely do this by ID. Okay, we'll do this. I'll copy the entire thing. This is by ID. This is ID. And this is video ID. We don't need to grab that. There we go. We don't need the path. Well, we can, I guess we can grab the path like that. And then here we simply do ID and then self update thumbnail by ID. There we go. And we go back here and we do update thumbnail by ID. And what is the ID? Well, we have the animation document. Should have the ID there. Yeah. Okay, and now we can also, I remember, go back to Assets Manager, because I remember that we update the thumbnail here. but now we can update by ID instead. That's a bit more efficient there. Okay, not that it would matter in any way, but a little bit, you know, it's like a convention, and also now we probably don't even need this function. This is probably not even, you know, used anymore, or it's not going to be used anyway, so we can remove it later. But yeah, let's just, I guess we can keep it for now. And yeah, so let's go back to animation. So now we are, when we click save, we're actually updating the thumbnail as well. However, we don't actually have the code for generating a thumbnail for the animation yet. So let's go to our context, and here's our generate thumbnail function, which gets called from update thumbnail, and we only have implemented for texture as of now. So because that was very easy to do. What we do want to do is, well, we want to have one for animation as well. So let's grab our animation, and what do we want to do here? So let's start at here, the layout, because what we need to produce is an image here. Also, oh yeah, this image, we want to unload that image. Do we do that? I think we do, or don't. Maybe we don't actually. So oh yeah, we do want to defer unload image here. Definitely. Okay, because that's like a memory leak, I think. So anyway, generate thumbnail, and yeah, so whatever we return, we don't need to worry about here. Now, how do we generate this image? Well, we can start by going to the animation layout, and we can check, because we have a like a preview window somewhere. Preview here, and here's the preview thing. And we basically want to do the same thing as we're doing here. We want to get the current frame. Well, it's going to be, the current frame is going to be like the first frame. So we will get the texture. We want to get the frame. So let's start here. I'm just going to do it straight in this thing here. So we get the texture ID. This should be animation. Get texture ID, I believe. Yeah. And then this one is self. Get request by ID. And we need to return null here. And when you return null, if in case you have two sort of catches here, like catch and or else, you have to do this, I believe, because I ran into an issue there, like a weird compilation. You get a weird compilation error if you don't do that, I think. So, and it took a while to actually understand what I needed to do to fix it. But anyway, so now we have the texture. Now what we need is the frame. And if we go to animation document, we should get like the frame should be, we need animation as well. So this is going to be animation get animations. Let's just see if there's a convenience anywhere. So get this one, we get the animations and then dot items. So we want to get the first one. However, it might not actually exist, so we want to check first if, so let's do animations equal to animation, get animations, and we want to check if animations dot items, I think it's len, if it's 0, then we also return null. This, I guess we can do this first, because we don't need to request the texture if you don't have an animation yet. So let's do that. Okay, and then we grab the first animation, and we need the frame. So now we're gonna check out this. Structure here, which has frames, which is an array list, so it should be animation dot, I guess we need to check the number of frames as well. No, it's not animations. Animation dot frames dot items dot length is 0, then we also return null. Okay, but if we have a frame, we can say item 0. Okay, so now we have that. Now let's go up to this. So here we have everything we need. So we need the grid position. So yeah, so now let's go back to the layout function. So we have the current frame. All right, we need the grid position, source, rectangle, etc. So let's copy this, go back here, because yeah, we need to do all this to actually be able to render it correctly. So we have the rectangle there, min, right, that's like, all right, so that's the vector, that's the like the top left of the rectangle. Okay, and then we have width and height. So that's gonna be the cell or the grid size, well, the cell size of the thing. Where do we get that from? Grid size. So it's called grid size here. It's actually like cell size, but I named it wrong, so we have to live with that a little bit here. But let's just grab that, go back here, and we get that there. Okay, let's actually rename this to cell size while we can. So I don't want to use the term grid size, because it, to me it refers to the number of cells in the grid, but cell size returns to how large is each cell in the grid. So yeah, so let's see, and then we have source rect, which is I'm using c.rectangle here. I should probably use raylib instead, because yeah, that actually, then you have to do this. Okay, raylib, because we're not going to use the raylib ingui library. We're gonna just use raylib here. We don't need to set any cursor position. Now we got the source rectangle. So this is the rectangle we want to get from the source texture. And what we need to do is we need to create an image that is the size of the cell size. No. Well, yes, because then the other function will handle, we pass this image off to another function which handles rescaling the image. But this function's job is to create an image, just any size image of the thing that we want to show in the thumbnail. So we can create a new image, which is the cell size, the size of this vector here. So this would be the image, and I think it's just gen image color, yeah. And so then we get like width and height. I'm not sure if they are actually like if they need to be integers. I'm just gonna check this real quick. Thumbnails, I mean, oh, they are i32s, okay. So they actually, we can't use this, we need to use animation.width size now. That one is actually integers, so we can use that. And then we need to specify a color, which doesn't really matter, I guess it's white. I mean, I guess it does kind of matter because that's gonna be sort of the background color. I just noticed that our textures are actually, the background color of them is actually white, because I've set as I generate the image to a white background, and then I draw on top of that. So maybe it should be alpha. Actually, maybe it should be like transparent. Transparent. I mean, yeah. Why not? Let's just do this. That should be transparent, right? Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to use draw. We want to draw the image. No, we want to draw a texture onto this image somehow. So I'm just gonna check the Rayleigh documentation wherever I have that. Here, let me show the browser here. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff. We can load image from texture and then because I haven't seen a lot of functions that like draws a texture onto an image. I'm not sure if that exists. I'm just gonna check here. Draw textures, because draw texture you can't really specify like a destination. It's gonna choose, it's gonna like just draw it to the screen. Yeah. But with images you get more, like you can draw an image to another image and stuff like that. Let's just see if I can draw image. So here's image draw. You can draw source rectangle. So we can use this, but then we have to create an image from the original texture as well first, because that needs to be an image, unless there's like an underlying image of the texture or something that you can get. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use this image draw function. Okay, go back here. So I'll just do this for now. So that's this destination image. We need a source image. Now this one is going to be whatever it was called, like load image from texture or something. Yeah. So load image from texture, and then the texture is gonna be well, we have it here, texture. So there's that. We wanna defer unload image there. Okay. And the last step is to draw the image. The destination is gonna be the image there. I'm not sure why this needs to be a pointer. This kind of puts a wrench in my, or a spanner in the works here a little bit. I'm just gonna try and do this and hope that that will be enough. And then in the end we want to return this image. Okay, and then here, actually this one also I think this can return an error maybe. Yeah, so do we need to try here? I think we need to try, yeah. Let's do a try. Okay, I was thinking of how to handle the error, but that should be fine. Gen image color, that doesn't need try, I don't think, no. Okay. So we create an image, we unload it, but before we do that, we actually draw the source image there. We have a rectangle, which is a source rectangle, so that's this one. The destination, now we need a destination rectangle as well. So the destination rectangle is gonna be very simple. It's gonna be 0, 0, and then cell size 0, 1. Okay, that's that one. And then the tint color is white. And now we can remove this reference there. Okay, so that should be enough to create the animation thumbnail. So the idea is just we take the first animation, the first frame, and use that as a thumbnail. So we grab all the animation, we check if there are any animations. If there aren't, we return nothing. We get the texture here. If it doesn't exist, we return nothing. We get the animation. If there are no frames, we return nothing. We get the first frame. We build up the rectangle from the grid position here. And then, yeah, we build up the source rectangle here. We build up the destination. Everything there we need to draw. We get the image. Well, we generate the image, the base image here with transparent color this time as background color. So we'll see how that works now. And we also make a image from the texture, so we can use that with image draw here to copy from one image to another image and return the result. So that should be good. Now let's see what errors we get. Context 568. Okay, use of undeclared identifier self. Oh, right, so now we actually need self here. And we need to call self. Okay, here we go. Was that it? No? Constant animation. Is it? Yeah, it's. Oh, I see. This is the document, so I guess we can call this document instead. Animation document. Animation document. Yeah, there we go. $572. Use of undeclared. Oh, current frame. This is frame. Anything else? We don't really use frame for anything else here. Okay. Uh, 539. Expected type void. Found type of null. Right. Oh. We don't need to return null here. Expected type darkness found constant. So do we need to do this then? No. Switch content. Okay, I guess we need this. No. Right. Ah, that seems to fix it. 586. That's kind of weird, like, because we're dereferencing here. I don't know. Well, actually, yeah, it's the correct, I guess it's the correct sort of location for it. Okay, anyway, so let's see. Expected, found, okay. Just need to dereference there. Expected array label found const array labeling match. Which one would that be? I think it's this one. Alright, this needs to be a var in that case. Okay, that seems to be it. Right. Yeah. No lag. So now we test this by going here, we click save, and that updates the animation here. Great. So it actually works. So great. All right. Let's see if we can open something else that we actually have as a texture. So we can open this one or not. What happened? Integer overflow, unknown field. Let's check. So let's check this animation here. I'm pretty sure I've made like did things here, but no, go to 27. Okay, that's just weird. At 27, unknown field. Let's compare this to another button icons. Button icons animations. Okay, here we go. It's different, of course it is. No. Oh yeah, here we have texture path instead of texture ID. I think I did this like manually. Maybe. So let's open up the index. Okay, let's check this .png. Yeah, here is that ID. Let's copy do that. Actually, let's copy this, put it here, and then copy this ID, put it there, and delete this. Okay, and now hopefully we have the same what's it called? The same format here. Yeah, it looks like it anyway. Okay, so let's go back to, well, let's see if we can open this now. Pistling there. Yes, great. Let's save it, and now we get this thumbnail here. Okay, very cool. So now it's a little bit easier to see what you're actually opening here. I mean, it's gonna be quite hard maybe to see if it's like an animation. What I'm thinking is for that, also the transparent didn't really work. It's still white here, so but anyway, what I was thinking is having instead of having that label animation here, which is barely visible, you could have like an icon that shows that, like an animation icon, so that you can see, oh, that's an animation, and then it shows the thumbnail, so it's an animation and which sort of animation that you're looking at. So yeah, great. So that's it for animations. Now I still need to like add all the textures and also update all the animation JSON files to the new format to make this work with everything. But at least we have this system in place now for animation. So I want to also do it for entity types as well. So here's the entity type, and it's basically the same thing, but you have the difference is that we have actually chosen like an icon for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy that code, I guess, more or less, you know. So let's go back to, where did we do that? I think, yeah, we have get node icon. So this is the code for actually drawing the icon. So we can just copy all this and then, yeah, use that. So let's go to context, and so here another type is entity type. That's the document. Alright. Oh, don't need to request the document here. We already have it, so that's the document. I guess we can just call it. Well, we want to stay in our convention here. Excuse me. And here as well. Okay, there we go. I want to basically do the same thing as we do here. We want to create an image. We want to do all this basically. We also need a destination rectangle as well. Let's just rename this just to keep it a little bit conventional here. There we go. All right. Except we don't have animation.grid size. What do we have? We have cell size. Cell size 0 and cell size 1. And I guess since this didn't matter, we can just use white. Let's also update up here. There we go. Okay, anything else? We need context. can be written to self. All right. So we generate the image, we get the texture, we all have that there. We unload that, we draw this, and we return that. Yeah, that should be the same. And now we need to go to layout, entity type, and we also do the same thing here as we did for animation. We do, when you press save, we want to update the thumbnail by ID, and the ID is gonna be, oops, entity type document.get ID. There we go. Then one last thing is here. Now we can remove this. We don't need this anymore. And over here, yeah, I guess we can just add it here because it's going to be the exact same handling there. There we go. So now we should have thumbnails for entity types as well. Let's just fix some issues here. Use of undeclared identifier. Okay. Yeah, so this would be rect size, I guess, instead. Let's just do this rect size, if so, so keep it conventional here. And this is grid position, so position, F grid position. Okay. 595. So we need to do this, I think. Okay, there we go. Now let's open up entity type there, and we press save, and there we go. Now we got this entity type here, and now we can see it's kind of hard to tell. Like, let's say I want to open the entity for puzzling. Not sure if it's this one or this one, but well, I know that I've set this icon, so I know it's this one, but it would be nice to have this sort of icon that shows what type of asset it is instead of typing it out. But yeah, very nice. Let's see, where's our other entity type there? Let's save that as well. So we got this thumbnail there. Okay, cool. We don't seem to be lagging much anymore as well. So great. Okay, so we've actually done both of those. So let's tick this off a little bit. This one is done. This one is done, and this one is done, but not for everything. We do have, like, I mean, I guess we'll tick this off, but we don't have everything. So we have the texture, we have for entity type, we have animation. Okay, so the two things that are left are these, and they're going to be a bit more involved. The tile map is going to be easier because we can just yeah, we can just draw, I guess, the tile map onto the image the same way we draw that tile map onto the screen. It's a shame that you can't really generalize that in Raylib, like the actual draw. Like, you can, the texture, like if you could draw the texture onto another surface, like another image or texture, that would be really cool, but it doesn't look like they have that function. I'm just gonna Google that real quick and see if it exists. Draw texture onto other texture. Okay, drawing shapes to a texture 2D. I like using shapes, generate sprites. Drawing texture much cheaper than drawing shapes, yes. For something like this, a good approach to use render texture. Create a render texture at whatever atlas resolution you want. Draw your shapes. Okay. Or what type of function do you use for that? So here's the render texture. Great. Oh, texture mode. Oh, so you can do that. Okay, wow, that is a lot easier than. So you can actually use the same functions then in that case, I guess, because they're using like clear background and stuff. So where's the draw functions? Yeah, draw circles. So basically you can use draw texture if you have a render texture as a target or texture mode here. Then yeah, you can just call draw tilemap and it will draw onto that texture instead. But you have to calculate, I guess, the size first. Yeah. So I guess that's all we need to do. We need to create a render text 2D. We need to calculate the size. Then we just call draw tilemap on that. And then that's our thing. And now we need to, I guess, convert it into an image. Let's see if we can. Well, this is from texture. Will that work with render texture? I don't know. Let's search for render texture. Because I don't think there's a lot of these functions. Render texture, unload render texture. It seems to be like a different thing. But what members does it have? Like, like how do you use it? Okay, I guess we can check the code here a little bit more. So once we've done that, what's happening at the end here? Let's see, I'm just gonna check. So here's texture mode. Right, so we're not in texture mode normally here. So here they've made like a save button. What's the image? Target, okay, so target.texture, you can get the texture out from that and then create an image. Okay. Right. Alright, so let's break this down here. Let's go to context and we'll make for a tilemap. Okay. So number one is calculate image size. Number two is gonna be and create render texture. Number two is going to be call draw tilemap with render texture as target. Number 3 is gonna be create image from render, I guess we can call this render texture dot texture. There we go. Okay. So first up is calculating the image size. So let's go to our tilemap document, and here we can do a whole bunch of things. We can grab the tile size, we can grab grid size, and that should be enough to do this. So we grab these two. Actually, there's one slight difference here as well. If we go to tilemap, well, draw tilemap here. Now when we actually draw this, do we have a scale somewhere? No, we don't. Well, what's the destination here? Destination, size, position. Yeah, we do have a scale, okay. Which is the context scale. So what is that? Scale. It is 4. Okay, okay. So that's kind of an issue, I guess. We don't really want to scale here. Also, this doesn't make sense if we already have scale V. I think this is like old. Yeah, we already have scale V. So we can just remove that and use context as scale V. However, we can also pass a scale, which I think is better. And we don't really need to draw it as like scale, but okay, you know what? Let's get that back. However, we're not gonna grab context.scale. We are gonna, because I don't want to draw it as scale when I draw it as this image here. So we have to pass this scale here. Because it's gonna look weird, I think, if we do that. So let's do this. Oh, that's just a vector. That's weird. I guess it can't be like a float. In that case. Okay. Let's just do U32 then. I mean, it doesn't need to be 32 technically either, but sufficient with like I don't know, 8 something, I don't know, whatever. So that's gonna be that. Okay, and then this is called from a couple of different things. Layout, no. Draw tilemap here. So here we need to pass just this, except this is already integer. Oh, okay, it needs to be an integer, like, or I mean signed. Fine. Actually, let's use vector int. That seems more correct. There we go. Okay. which is the vector int is kind of like just, you know, it's the int type that's used in my vector here, which is an I32. Yeah. So if we ever want to change it, we can just change it, and we won't need to change everywhere. Man, I thought I was blocking all these weird messages. Okay. Anyway, now we put the scale there, and we also need to put the scale here. There we go. Okay, it wasn't such a big deal. So let's go back to, actually let's grab that. Let's grab this whole thing, actually. Yeah. And then let's go to context. And this is basically everything we need, I think. We don't need to do this though. With scale over 2, why do we need that? Times scale over 2. Okay, but we get the time map, we get the grid and the size. So we don't need to do this. We already have like get grid size. And the tile size. So we need the tile size. Get tile size. And grid size. Grid size times tile size over 2. Okay. And then the position is, yeah, we don't have, that's gonna be 0. Oh, I see. I mean, it's gonna be negative. It's gonna be this, I guess. It's gonna be drawing it, right? It's gonna use like offset logic here. Okay, let's just try it and see where we end up here. And now it's not context or scale, so now we want to use a scale of 1. Okay. So yeah, so we have now we're, this is called, and then we create. So now we have the image size. So let's create this image. So this, we need a render texture. And what was that called? Check here. This is called load render texture with the size. Okay. And the size is gonna be sizes. Just this. Okay. Yes, and then yeah, and then here time up size 0, time up size 1. Okay, so there's our render texture. I'm not sure if that returns like an error or something. Doesn't really look like it in the C version, so right, so now we should have the render texture, and now we should be able to say begin texture mode onto our render texture, and then end texture mode. We don't need anything there. Okay, So that should draw the thing onto this render texture. Next step is to create an image from that. Also, let's defer unload. Is it render texture? Yeah. Unload render texture. Okay, and then here we want to create an image. Oh. Okay, so it's like load image from texture, render texture by texture, and yeah, we can just return it, I guess, because we're unloading it afterwards there. Actually, that's a interesting point here, because we need to create this first, and then, like, when does this defer happen? Does it defer before or after this call? I'm gonna assume it happens after, because that makes more sense. You don't wanna... That would cause all sorts of issues if it would happen before. Yeah. I think what makes sense would be that Zig actually interprets this code as being image, and then the defer happens here, and then we return the results. So I think that makes sense, but let's see if we get some memory errors here. All right. Create image. Yeah. So now let's go. Actually, also that sort of makes it so that maybe this can also be sort of generalized, maybe. Well, let's not think about that right now. I mean, this render texture is awesome. It opens up a lot more possibilities that I haven't thought about before. So, but let's deal with that later. So let's go. Where are we? Do we want to go? I think here. So yeah, we wanna actually draw this by adding it here. And then we also have layout time map. So here we wanna go down to the save function, or the save button. We also want to add it to the save shortcut as well. Yeah, we have a save shortcut, so we should also do it here. That's then we should probably just have it as a function that's happening as well. Yeah, save. And the context and the editor. We also need the document. Wait, no, we don't need a document. No, we need the ID. That's what we need. But I guess we have the document here. We have the document. Oh. Well, this is weird. This is like, we should always have the time map here. I think this is where I had this more like generalized, but I think we just passed the document. Yeah, definitely. And then we just do this. Time map document. Yeah. And so here we also pass the time map document. context, save. Okay. Here we do save, context editor, timeout documents. And then we also want to do this here, context. No, this is going to be save, context editor, timeout document. Yeah, see here, we have all these weird things going on. We should just pass the document straight up here. Okay. Yeah, so document and same thing here. Because this is like only for this anyway, so it's not going to be used for anything else. Okay. And we also need to pass this around now. Oh, this one has it, I guess. Yeah. But the menu functions. Yeah, here we go. Tool details. There we go. File menu. You also need this. There we go. Okay. Unused. Oh yeah. So now after that we do update thumbnail by ID. Timeout document get ID. There we go. Select tool details. Okay, that doesn't exist yet. So okay, so now when we save here, we should update the thumbnail as well. So let's check if this works. Context 624. Why is the control timer? Oh, I need to actually import. I should probably sort of outsource the generation of the thumbnail to somewhere else, maybe its own like file, because it's kind of large, and yeah, I think it warrants to be in its own thing. $6.25 here, yes. Context is fine. Oh, self. Expected type, found error. Oh, so it can be an error here. Oh wait, this one can be an error? No. This is an error, I guess. So this could be an error, so I think we do try. I think that was the pattern that was established. Okay, I need to do this, I think. $6.29. Render texture. Oh no, this. Oh yeah, this is also try. Select 57. What? Tool select 57. Oh, right. So we need to pass context.scale. I thought I would. Oh, this draw layer. I see. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, here we go. Now let's see. Let's try this first. So yeah, we don't have any lag. Now we should be able to open up a tile map. So let's just open any old tile map here, and I'll use the shortcut to save just to be fancy. Okay, you can see the thumbnail did update, but it's a bit just checking FPS here. It's a bit weird. It's actually expanding down and to the left. Actually, it's upside down as well. Is it mirrored as well? I don't know. This looks very weird. Okay. Interesting. Upside down. Okay. Yeah, it does looks like it's mirrored as well. No, it's not mirrored. It's just up. It's flipped upside down, I think. Huh. It's interesting. Yeah, okay. Let's see. So it might be some weird thing happening with the texture mode, maybe. Let's go to draw time map and see what's happening here. So yeah, destination positions offset. What is offset? Offset is okay, that's just the position there. Right, so okay. Okay, so maybe that's just wrong then. I mean, let's just use 0 here in that case. Yeah, let's just try that. Actually, this one is not used either. Let's try this. I'm going to save again. Okay, there you go. Now it's just upside down. Interesting. Why is it upside down? But it does work, so that's really nice. But well, it sort of works. At least something shows up. So why would it be upside down? That's very curious. Very curious. So here we're going from 0 to grid size. Right. So we're starting at the top left. I'm just stumped. I can't really. Normally I can like sort of try to analyze why this is happening, but I have no clue why it's upside down. Okay, let's just go through this. So X and Y is just, you know, first is top left, right? So we got the top left tile. It's like we can't, it's not like we're saving the tiles upside down, right? That's weird. That can't be correct. And then we grab the texture, yeah. So it seems like it is actually grabbing that correct texture and the source rectangle and all that. That seems correct. Maybe something is weird with the destination rectangle actually. No. Because the scale, when we're drawing something, no, but that's, the drawing happens, no, that's just an image. Yeah, the scaling happens like on, okay. Update thumbnail. Let's go in here. Let's actually go to thumbnails. Well, let's go project first, I guess, and then thumbnail. Update by the, here we go. So here we're grabbing, we're making the thumbnail image, right? We have the source rect, which starts from 0, 0 and goes to the image that we get in, width and height. So that should be good. Excuse me. And then we have destination rect. This is thumbnail sound. So what I was thinking is it could technically get flipped here when we draw this image, but I don't think it does. It should have been flipped for the other ones as well, if that was the case. Okay, let's go back. So we have the origin 0, 0, grid position U, X, U, Y, that's just X and Y. We have the scale, which is just 1. Source rectangle seems to be correct. I mean, if you flip the thing. And then we have destination position, which is offset, which is 0, 0. The grid position, which is X and Y here, times the size, yes. So that's just from the top left going straight to the right and down. And then we have destination size. Yeah, that should be fine. And this is just converting to floats. And this is converting to a rectangle. And then we have a color. And then we're drawing it. So source and then this and then origin. And origin is 0, 0. Yeah, this is very, very strange. Is it something about render textures that makes it behave like this? Did I do something weird here? Image draw? Okay, let's check if source. So image draw. Wait. No. Let's see. Yeah, source rectangle, then destination rectangle. Image. I mean, okay. One thing that I was thinking about was this. But that has to be this has to work, because if this was the issue, I think it would just be like garbage. It would be getting like garbage pixels, but it does get like coherent pixels, but it's just flipped upside down. Well, this is not actually grid position. This is grid position times the cell size. This is like in the top left. Well, it does make sense from that point of view, but it's not actually the grid position. It's like source rectangle. Okay, just to have less confusion here going on. And that's just the cell size. Yes, yeah. and 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1. Wait, where am I? Oh, this is for entity type. I was looking at the tire in the wrong place. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, so grid size. This is the actual grid size. I think this is like, it's not cell size, it's actually grid size. And then this is like the tile size. This is cell size. Right. Okay. Let's remove these things. Okay, this is 0 1. That makes sense. Here we're loading from this texture. Again, if this was happening before, this would result in some sort of weird memory error, so I don't think that's the issue. Unless it's like flipping, is like changing the width and height of the thing. Let's try this before we do something else, because I don't think this is the issue, but let's just try that. So we'll create this image and then return it. That should also be equivalent. No, same issue, same result. Okay, so let's revert that. I don't understand. Maybe we need to check into texture mode a little bit more. Okay. Does it say anything here? No. So what I'm looking for is how they use this. So clear background is just clearing it. All right. I guess that won't really do anything for us. Like if I run this, it's not like it's the white should be black or anything like that. So I think it's just upside down. And then it's like rescaled to fit this this square. Yeah. Actually, is this also upside down? No, it's not. You can see the light here part is light there. The dark part there is dark there. So it's not upside down. Okay. I mean, these are obviously not upside down. So, okay. Right. Yeah, I was just checking if clearing the background would do anything. I don't think it would. I think it's actually just cleared anyway. Set target if it's, yeah, that doesn't matter. So when we're actually drawing stuff onto the thing, we are clearing. So here we're drawing a circle. It just uses X and Y normally. So there's not it. I mean, yeah, I don't understand why it's upside down. That's the bottom line here. Why is it upside down? I mean, this doesn't make sense. Why would it? No, this does not make sense. And if these were negative, then this would be an infinite loop, so that's not the problem. I was drifting that as an idea, but yeah. I mean, sometimes when you encounter issues like this, when you don't really have an idea of what's happening, you feel like, okay, there has to be something super obvious that I'm missing, but I don't get that feeling right now. I actually get a feeling that there's something I don't understand about this, but at the same time it has to be easy to fix. Well, it could be something I'm missing here, of course. But I mean, in here, this function has been called and tested a lot. And you can see that it actually works if we run and then open a timer. You can see it works here. This is used to draw this time up here. So it actually works normally when drawing onto the screen, but drawing onto this, it doesn't work. So what? So I was thinking, like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is just the texture mode and the scale. Wait, what if the scale is like negative? Well, that doesn't make sense. It's not negative. I didn't put a negative there. If I recall correctly, yeah, it's not negative, it's 1. It can be negative. What if we put negative there? What will happen then? That's actually interesting to see. I mean, it will be, I guess it will be flipped from up and down, but it also maybe, but it also would be flipped. If it's flipped up and down, it would be flipped left to right as well. Okay, it just doesn't work at all. Well, okay. So is there anything I'm missing here? The position is like the thing that is sort of wrong then in that case. We have grid position, that is the position, so offset is 0. Grid should be like X and Y, so the first one should be 0, 0, so this is 0. And then anything here will be 0, okay. Next one is like 1, 0. Well, actually it goes with Y, so it's like 0, 1. But it's like in my head, if we go to the left, to the right, both are covered, any of these are covered, so also the still 0. This will be 0, 1. No, 1, 0. This is tile size. The tile size we actually get from here. That's just that. So that's like 16 by 16. Okay. And then the scale is 1. So it's just going to be 16, 0. Right? And you also have this source vector. Get source vector from the tile source. The tile source is grabbed from the tile. The tile is grabbed from this, which is X and Y. So I don't understand what is happening. Sometimes when this happens, there's some sort of memory issue, memory errors. But it just doesn't feel like it this time because it's too consistent. It's just flipped from up to down. Okay, I'm just gonna test this again. Do we have a defer here? Yeah, we do have a defer. So I'm just gonna test here. Unload this here, then return. It's very explicit about the order now. Just to make sure it's not a consistent sort of weird thing happening that makes it not work. Okay, no, still the same. This is so weird. It's upside down. Here you can see the well up there. It feels like I'm missing something obvious now. So yeah, it's not the memory issue from here. Man. What could it be? What could it be? I mean, I guess we could sort of force flip it, maybe. I mean, it's kind of a roundabout thing, but you could create an image, create two images, and then draw the texture onto the image, but flipped. Okay, maybe it's something to do with the context. Alright. I think I know what's going on now. Well, I think I might have a hint on what's going on. So, when we call this, we are actually in some other context as well. We are in the menu context. So, let's go, where was it? Layout and timeline. Yeah. So when we click save, or when we call this, we are either in handle shortcuts or in file menu here. And both of those are called from this function, which the context is main menu, and which are both are called from the menu. And where is that called? Well, that is called from here, which is called from here, which is called in this context. And this context, we are in RL imgui begin here, which is gonna mess things up, I think. So we are actually not in this context, which is the normal context for us, except we don't really want the camera. But anyway, here is the context here that we're doing. So yeah. So we can't really update the menu from this, or the thumbnail from this context, which leaves, I guess, a couple of options. Well, actually, okay, so I understand now why it works for the other ones, because the other ones don't really use the generic draw functions, which uses the context, the Rayleigh context drawing stuff. They are just using image and drawing stuff onto the image. But draw time map actually uses like the generic draw functions, which uses those. So I think that's why we get this issue here. So you could solve this, I mean, either by moving the save part out, but that doesn't make sense because we can't really. So I think the only option we have is to add a bunch of, like, add a flag that says, do we want to update the thumbnail for the current open document? That could actually be something. So that's actually pretty easy then, because then we can go in here, we can go into context, we can add this flag here, update thumbnail for current document is a bool, and we set it to false. Right, and so now instead of if we go to time app, instead of calling, instead of updating it directly, we say update thumbnail for current document is equal to true. So we want to request that we want to update it, and then what we actually do is we want to update it like after everything here. So so maybe here, get current editor, get one, and this handles input, I guess. Wait, this would be outside the thing. Wait, okay, let's just try this over here. Update thumbnail for current document, and we do, I guess we can get the current editor. I guess you could have a convenience to get the current document as well. But we get the editor. We will do editor dot document dot id. Does that exist? Yeah. Okay. And then we also set this to false. Okay. So now when we click save, it will happen outside of this context here and maybe work. But I'm not hopeful because this function calls handle input, which also called save when we save by Control S. And this is happening over here. Yeah, this is handle input. So that I'm not confident that this will actually work, but I guess we can try. And if this is not an issue, then I have no clue what's going on. And we have to deal with this. Let's go context. Update thumbnail for current document. Update thumbnail for current document. Unused function for errors. Oh, so we don't actually need this now. Okay, I'm just gonna do this for convenience. Okay. I don't think this will work. No, it didn't work. Because we already tried like Control S and that also flipped it upside down. Yeah, it's flipped. Hey, it looks like a different time map now, actually. Kind of cool. Okay, well, so it still doesn't work. Man, this is driving me nuts. But I think this is a good thing anyway, because yeah, we definitely don't want to do it in some weird context. But I was sure that would work, but yeah. Well, until I saw that we actually wasn't in the right context anyway. Man, okay. Yeah, I am baffled. Is it something weird after this happens? That couldn't be it. Like, it has to be, after we quit this mode, it has to go back to normal. Like, if we would put the drawing stuff let's see, where is this? Like, let's say, let's put this down here and see if that actually does anything different. If it does, then that's very strange. No, it doesn't. And then this would be upside down also. Yeah, which is not. It's not upside down. Left, right, left, right. Okay. Great, great. Very, very strange. Also, I want to check, do we have any leaks? No. Good. Yeah, I just don't know what's going on. I mean, is it something to do with this? But that can't be correct. I mean, if the only difference is like the origin and the offset, that doesn't make sense. Like, let's say we go to the time map layout function and we go, where do we draw the time map? Here. Okay, even here we're using the position 0, 0, context scale, why? Why is this happening? it's just a Y that's flipped as well. It's like, yeah, I know that in computer screen coordinates, the Y0 is actually at the top, but in math it's at the bottom. So maybe somewhere it gets flipped. I don't know. But I've checked it all. It also, if let's do a test, okay? Let's make a small time map like 4x4. Okay, let's change it to 4x4. Wait, is this really 4x4? 1x1, 2x2, 4x4. Okay, we just zoomed in quite a bit. Okay, now let's grab some sort of texture. So let's, wait, this is, oh no, I want 2x2, sorry, 2x2. And let's just do this. Actually, I want to have like different colors, you can distinguish them there. Okay, now let's save. Yeah, you can see it's flipped, and but it's also like rendered, like it's flipped by pixel and not by, like it, this isn't just moved up here, it's actually flipped by pixels. So that's what I wanted to see. It's so strange. Also, I want to check these ones. I don't think are flipped at all. No, they are not. Okay. So it's flipped by pixel, which basically means there's probably nothing wrong with this function here, but this just, it's not like the tile is drawn at the incorrect place. It feels like when this is done, in the end, it's like flipped afterwards. Let's go to context, and we have update thumbnail, and then generate, and then down to timer. So maybe when we do this, maybe it's like flipped somehow. Okay, but load image from texture has worked before. So it's like, is it really that's the issue, or is it this that's the issue? Because after we return it, that should work. We're returning the image, then it's not gonna get flipped afterwards, because then these will be flipped as well. Oh man, what is going on? Okay, I think I'm gonna try and fix this, and then I'll call it for this one. Yeah, I think my mind is just trying to find possibilities of what's going on here. One thing is like the scale flip, but it's like this function there's nothing wrong with this function, at least for what I can see. The only thing weird here is like this, and then this, and like it could happen maybe like we have some weird mode And then over there. I don't know, man. Okay, I'm gonna Google this a little bit. Relive render texture upside down. Texture mode flips y-axis by default. What the f? Okay. What's going on? Whenever I render my scene in texture mode, attempt to plot it, the y-axis is flipped. Okay. So when was this? Like, oh, it's pretty recent actually. Yeah. Okay, and it showcases the thing there. Okay, I'm afraid this is as design. Why? Is it because something to do with the GPU coordinates or something like that? My workaround was create another render. Okay. So you don't explain why is. I mean, okay. I'm gonna guess it has something to do with GPU coordinates because those are more like math oriented. I believe it's more efficient just to flip the render texture with drawings. Yeah, okay. I mean, this is annoying. What? Can it draw itself? I mean, I guess not. Or maybe it can actually. Maybe it's like copied into GPU or something. Or maybe it only exists in GPU. Yeah, but you can see here the principle is basically, okay, so it's always flipped. And I just spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe I should have Googled from the start, but this felt like something like a me problem. And so that's why I tried to fix it first before Googling. But this is like the last resort maybe, or one of the last resorts, and it turns out this was the issue all along. So I'm just gonna check here. Why Equation is not always top of the screen? I mean, sure, but it's like always. It normally, I mean, the thing that gets me with this is like normally if you don't have any mode or anything turned on, if you draw something at 0, 0, I think that's always going to be at top left, right? Or is it going to be in the middle? I don't actually remember. Well, the point is it's different from when just drawing onto the screen. Why was there's always top of image in memory? At some point you might have to flip something because actual mount uses. Okay. So can it depend on the hardware? Or is it always flipped for everything? You could flip texture or you could change sugar. Oh, so it doesn't know about Relive, okay. I gave it a good try, but no offense. Textures flipped. You just need to flip the image vertically while working with it. Flipping is not free. I mean, yeah. If you pre-render some texture, it would be cool to show how to get the texture right without having to flip it later. I mean, it seems to. Yeah, I mean, I guess. But it's like, it feels like you're using it, you want to use it to prime some sort of surface or texture that you want to be able to reuse later, so you don't have to re-render that specific thing over and over every frame. So it's like a caching thing. But it's also a little, well, I mean, given the ease of use of Raylib and stuff, it's weird that this wouldn't that they wouldn't provide something like this, like, built in. So you have to flip it yourself if you want to use it. That doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, if you look at this example here, when it saves the file, where is that happening? So it's not really doing it, like when drawing a circle, it uses just X and Y for mouse position. Mouse position is not really, where is the mouse position? Here, make the get mouse position. So that's not flipped, right? That's just screen coordinates, right? So it's not, we're not flipping anything here. Same with that, everything else that edits the texture, so everything should be like upside down then in this case. And let's see, here we say, oh, what the, okay, where, okay, so they do have this flip function. I'm guessing this is not something you have to define yourself. Okay, I'm just gonna check the cheat sheet. Image flip. Okay, so there is no. Okay. All right. So great. So we don't have to do anything weird with this game. I mean, if you want to really optimize it, you can pass in. You can sort of draw it. I mean, because then you don't have to flip it afterwards. Still a bit annoying that you have to do this. Why can't they like build this in? Okay, but anyway, I mean, wouldn't that be the solution? If we can just flip the Y scale, why can't they just flip the Y scale? I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, I guess because if you do things like drawing as shape, it's more than just flipping that. Okay, but anyway, you know what? Let's just yeah, I'm gonna flip it here. So this is gonna be image flip vertical, and then the image is gonna be, well, that's it. That's actually gonna be this image here. We're gonna flip it. It's not gonna produce a new image, right? Flip vertical, no. Okay, let's flip that and then return image. Okay, So it wasn't a me problem. Well, I guess it was a me problem also, but expected. Oh, okay. All right. Save that. Now it works. Oh my god. It's also a little bit slow, maybe. Why is it so slow? Is it because it has to scale and save and that one went pretty quick. Okay. Well, it works. Let's go and just save all these time maps so we get their thing. Yeah, now we can see a lot easier what we want to open. So we want to open, I want to open this time up. Yeah, it's very easy. Okay, cool. Actually, now that we got this working, I feel, well, the scene is going to be a bit different as well. So the scene, actually, we're drawing the time map, but then we also draw all the entities. Maybe it's enough to draw the time map though. Each scene only has one time map. So the thumbnail generation could be exactly the same as the time map. We could start there, actually. I'm just gonna check, like, is it a little bit laggy? Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. We can run a profile later, see if we can optimize a little bit. I don't think it's warranted yet, but maybe when you have a bigger project, you have like a whole bunch of assets and stuff happening. Okay, well, that was good that we could solve it that easily here. All right, so what now? Yeah, okay, so let's do the scene. Actually, this should be like the same thing. Let's get the scene document here. So I'm just gonna, okay, I'm just gonna copy this for now. We need to get the time map somehow. So let's go to scene. Wait, no, yeah, this is the scene. And then we have a whole bunch of these convenience functions here. Entities, draw entity. Maybe we could just get like the texture entity or the time map entity and draw it. Yeah. Now this is the same sort of issue. It's using context as scale. Ah, man. I mean, maybe we could just scale it, and it takes a bit longer, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's probably gonna be the same result. I was thinking maybe that it would look really weird if we scale it and then rescale it, and yeah, but maybe not. Or I mean, we just want to get the time map. Yeah, we just want to get this ID. We want to loop through all the entities, get the time map. Let's see, where do we have anything for that? I guess not. So where's the, I think we had like get entities, yeah. So we get entities, we loop through to get the time map. Entities. For what is it? Entities and items. Actually, let's do time map ID is equal to this. I think we can put a label here? Question mark? Or is it there? I don't know. Actually, do we even need? Maybe we can like break for a. Can you do this? Like break something like this and break with a value? Because you can break with the value to a label. But let's try this first. So, because we don't really need a one-time label here. But okay, so we want to say if we have an entity which is a how did we do it? Switch on type. If this is equal to time map, we can actually do a switch. Yeah, let's remove this. Okay, if we have a time map, then we get the time map, and we also return time map dot what? Time map ID. Okay. Otherwise, we continue. And then if this fails, we have an else. I think we just return null because we didn't find a time map. So we can't create the thumbnail basically. But now we have the time map ID. And then I think we just want to request the time map document, which should be open anyway since we have the scene open, so it shouldn't be an issue loading that in. So we need a time map document, and that's going to be content or self request document, and we're going to do document type by ID, which needs document tag, which is going to be a time map, and the ID is going to be time map ID. There we go. And you can be an error and a nullable. So I guess if we catch, we return null, and if we get null, we also return null. Okay. And there's our thing for that. And we should definitely break this out into its own, like, yeah, its own file, like this entire function here. Okay, what's going on now? 663, okay. Unreachable, else, prong, all cases on here. Oh, okay. So we can remove this. That was a good error. To get value of... Oh, so this might be null in that case. Okay. Wait, ignored? Shouldn't be ignored, right? And it's also like or else turn on. But it's not supposed to be ignored. It's supposed to be like the result of this 4. Okay, so this is where, let's see if we can try and break with that. Does that work? Oh, great. So let's open this. Oh yeah, so we need to connect these things as well. So let's go over here. Let's go to wherever we are saving, which is only here. So, well, let's just do update thumbnail directly for current document equals true. Oh, I didn't update directly, but anyway. Maybe we should have that as a general rule, like when you save, you actually always update the thumbnail, so we don't have to do this everywhere. Okay, so it's supposed to be updated now, but if we go, but it's not rendering, so we have to go to Asset Manager. We have to add scene to this list. Now we're gonna get an error because this handles all cases, so we have to return or remove else there. Let's see, and it should already be populated. Yeah. Okay. Let's populate all of these. Oh, I don't have Control S on scenes. Let's just load all these. So the thing is with the scenes is that, I mean, they do have entities and stuff, but we're not showing it here, I guess. And it also, it's like right now the scenes only can only have one tile map. If in the future we make it so that they can have several tile maps, then we might want to update this function. But now it just grabs, you know, the first tile map that it finds, and it draws it and uses that as a thumbnail. Okay, there's the village. Here's some sort of test. Here's this one. Oh, we have 2 of these. Okay. Yeah. That's all the, let's see, scenes. Yeah, that's all the scenes. Oh yeah, this directory here, the cache directory, we should probably hide that from the assets. So because we're not supposed to get in. I think even if we go in here, it's gonna crash because it's trying to, yeah, it's trying to read the files inside, and they do end in JSON, so it's trying to read the type of the file, but it's gonna fail. If you have a JSON file that's not part of the schema, it's gonna fail, I think. Oh, what's happening here? Seg fault? Okay, that was not the error that I was expecting. Layout 64 access menu, because okay. Well, okay. Anyway, it's let's go back to do here. So we did all these. Scene is like without entity, so it's only time map. And also we can probably refactor this to be a little bit nicer. Like move it into its own function and all that. Refactor into Now, what I was thinking, okay, I know I said we will probably quit long ago, but I want to do one more thing, and that's hiding the cache directory. I'm just gonna open a show just so to explain it. So let's do this so it's easy to see. We have this directory cache. This is like a directory that is generated by the editor, and it's not supposed to be visible here. So I want to make it so that this is a special case that we actually don't render here. So what we could do, a very easy fix, is going into the node menu, and I'm gonna go and like up here we have ID, so it basically can be a directory or a path, but I'm gonna have a check here. So if actually also no, that should be fine. Well, I guess maybe we can have the check here actually, because this has other filters as well. So I'm gonna check before the filter if node is equal to a directory. Will this work with even the dereference here? No, it does. Okay, does that actually work? I doubt it, but let's see. So if it is a directory, and if a directory name, or I guess path, yeah, let's do path equal if it's equal to cache, we continue. So that, yeah, I guess it's only for directories and checking if it's cache. Yeah, whatever. I guess you could also, like, instead of doing this loop check here for the string or string comparison, you could have a bool flag on the node itself to make it hidden. So then you would more easily, that's basically caching the state of it. Should it be hidden or not, and just looking at that. But I don't think that's, I mean, if you're gonna have a lot of directories to make this lag here, incompatible types. Yeah, here we go. So you couldn't do that, you had to do this. The LSP said you could do it, but it was lying to me. Okay, there we go. And now the directory is gone. Awesome. And if we open up this one and just check if it's like lagging or whatever. No, it doesn't feel like it's lagging at all. Okay, great. Let's go to a time map. And let's go over here, and I want to try just taking this and drawing a little bit. There we go. No, it doesn't feel like it's lagging at all. You do get some, you know, when you drag fast enough, it misses some, but I think that's just an issue with I mean, we don't really have it's not because of lag, it's because of when it grabs the mouse position each frame. Well, I guess it's kind of related to lag, but it's not gonna be, yeah, okay, whatever. So yeah, let's see, animation. Yeah, I guess we can open this one. No, we can't. Okay, I was wrong. Because it's the wrong format. Okay, so yeah, that, I mean, it looks a lot nicer now. The assets manager is like a lot easier to find whatever you're looking for, and it's a lot more easy on the eye as well. And whenever I get the rest of these things working, it's gonna be nice to get this project up and running again. So what's left here is basically adding all the textures as these JSON files here, and then updating all the animation JSON files to the new format, creating some thumbnails for them, and what else? I guess importing, like, well, I have all the animations. Oh yeah, creating entity types for all the different entities. And I guess, and then, oh yeah, and then updating the scenes to actually use the entity types, well, the custom entity types instead of the built-in entity types. So now we don't have the way to do the built-in entity types anymore, but they are still there as the old entity types. But I'm gonna remove those, and I'm gonna recreate the scenes with the new custom entity types. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. So we actually, yeah, we did finish the thumbnail sort of functionality. Very, very nice. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. So thank you very much for watching, and hope you have a nice day.